here, this is the R1. First, I want to remove the RIP, no router RIP. We don't have RIP now. After that, on the interface tunnel 0, let me to configure IP split, for example, horizon. This is the default behavior. And after that, in the router 2, let me to show you again conf no router RIP. We don't have routing information protocol now on the router 2 and also on the router 3. Conf no router RIP. So easy. That's it. This is the configuration of the, for example, DMVPN without any routing protocol. Now, if you verify the routing table of router 1, show IP route, it can show us we don't have any of the, for example, quad 2 or quad 3 here. Actually, we need the method of routing. Also in the router 2, show IP route can show us we don't know about the quad 1 and quad 3. And also in the router 3, show IP route can show us we don't know about the quad 1 and quad 2. All right, now let me to configure EIGRP. For example, in the router 1, first let me to configure router EIGRP NRC. I want to configure EIGRP with the named mode. After that, here we should configure address family, okay, IPv4 unicast AS1, and here we will configure network quad 1, quad 0, and then a network, for example, 192.168.123.1 quad 0. Okay, and after that, let me to configure the EIGRP on the router 2 also. This is the configuration of EIGRP on the router 2, router EIGRP NRC, address family IPv4 unicast AS1, network is quad 2, quad 0, and then network 192.168.123.2 quad 0. After that, in the router 3, we are configuring the network quad 3 and then network 192.168.123.3. That's it. Let me to start the configuration. Also here, we can verify the result of our configuration. Look at here, starting from the router 2. This is the router 2 here, conf router EIGRP NRC. Okay. After that, address family IPv4 unicast autonomous system 1, network quad 2, quad 0, and also network 192.168.123 2 quad 0. Look at here, when you are using these commands, you will see EIGRP hello message encapsulating with GRE. This is EIGRP, then this is the IP, inner IP header, and then GRE, outer IP header. Actually, we are encapsulating or we are tunneling the EIGRP hello message from on the router 2 to router 1. Also, let me to configure the router 3, conf again router EIGRP, for example, NRC. If you want, you can configure with the numbered or mode, means the traditional configuration. Here we don't have any difference. Address family IPv4 unicast AS1, okay, then network quad 3, okay, quad 0, network quad 3, quad 0. After that, network 192.168.123.3, okay, then quad 0. That's it. This is the configuration of the EIGRP on the router 3. Now we should configure EIGRP on the router 1. Conf router EIGRP NRC again. Okay, let me to use the router EIGRP NRC. Router EIGRP NRC. So easy. Then address family IPv4 unicast AS1. Address family IPv4 unicast AS1, and then we should use the network command, network quad 1, quad 0. After that, we should configure network 192.168.123, okay, to 121, then quad 0. We expect to see EIGRP neighborship between the router 1 and router 2, and also between the router 1 and router 3. Here we have two neighborships, show IP EIGRP neighbors. As you can see, we have neighborship with router 2 and router 3. Also in the router 2, let me to show you, show IP EIGRP neighbors. We have neighborship with the router 1, and in the router 3, show IP EIGRP neighbor. We have neighborship with the router 1. Everything is working correctly. Now, in the router 1, show IP route, EIGRP can show us we have quad 2 and quad 3. It is okay. But in the router 2, look at here, show IP route, for example, EIGRP can show us we have learned the quad 1 from the router 1, but we didn't learn the quad 3 from the router 1. Again, the problem related to the split horizon. All right, in the router 3 also, show IP route, EIGRP can show us we have only quad 1/32, and here you know that we should disable the split horizon for learning the quad 2. Okay, R1 now doesn't advertise the for example quad 2 if received from our R2 to the R3. Here in the router 1, again we should disable the split horizon. We should configure under the router EIGRP NRC, okay, AF interface. The interface is tunnel 0, AF interface tunnel 0, and here we should disable the split horizon with the no split horizon, for example, command. Let me to show you what is happening in the router 1. We are going to the router EIGRP NRC, okay, and then address family IPv4, for example, unicast AS1 AF interface tunnel 0. Here we are using the no split horizon. That's it. Okay, show, look at here, show EIGRP IP. If you want, you can use show IPv4 EIGRP. Okay, show IPv4 EIGRP interface. We should use show IP EIGRP interface, then detail a tunnel 0. On this interface now split horizon is disabled. Okay, because of that, in the router 2, if you verify the router 2, show IP route EIGRP, it can show us now we have quad 1 and quad 3, and also in the router 3, show IP route EIGRP can show us we have quad 1 and quad 2, both of them. Because of that, let me to try send traffic in the router 2 to quad 3 ping. We can use ping quad 3, okay, with the source of loopback 0. Here we don't have any problem, and also trace route quad 3 we have with the source of loopback 0. Traffic is going to router 1 and router 3. Show DMVPN, okay, and show IP NHRP. That's it in the router 3. Then here ping, for example, quad 1 with the source of loopback 0. It is working. Trace route quad 1 with the source of loopback 0. It is working. Also in the router 1, show IP NHRP. Everything here is okay. And also show DMVPN also can show us we have 2 tunnel. Here you have this information. Look at here. Entry 1, this is the entry number of NHRP entries with the same NBMA peer, and after that here, because it is possible to have more than one for example NHRP entry from one peer, and after that here we can see the status is up. We will learn about the state more than this, but for now it is up. After this is the up down timer, as you can see, up or down time for a tunnel. And then here also, for example, we have the attributes. Here, this is the type of this tunnel is dynamic and it is established. Here we don't have any important difference, but now we can configure EIGRP. The only things that we should know about the EIGRP in the phase 1 is that we should disable the split horizon on the hub router like the RIP. Don't forget, here we have configured the router EIGRP NRC, means the named mode of the EIGRP. Because of that, on the name mode we should configure no split horizon under the AF interface. But in number mode, okay, if you configure EIGRP with number mode, here inside the R1 we should interface tunnel of R1 we should disable it. Let me to show you. Assume that here I'm going to use the router EIGRP1. I want to show you what is the difference of split horizon disabling in the named and numbered of the EIGRP router. EIGRP1 network, for example, quad 1 quad 0, then network for example 192.168.123.1 quad 0, the next command. Okay, after that here we should disable the split horizon. Here no IP. Okay, let me to show you no IP split horizon. Then for EIGRP1, let me to show you, it is informative. In the router 1, first I want to remove the EIGRP NRC, no router EIGRP NRC. Okay, now we don't have EIGRP. Then router EIGRP1 network quad 1 quad 0, then network 192.168.123.1 quad 0. Okay, this is the default behavior. In the router 2, show IP EIGRP neighbors can show us we have neighborship with the router 1 and also in the router 3 show IP EIGRP neighbors over the tunnel 0. Also about the router 2 show IP route EIGRP can show us we have learned only quad 1, and also in the router 3 show IP route EIGRP can show us we have learned quad 1. Now in the router 1 over the